I welcome all the participants for our today webinar on ensuring quality and integrity in biobanking and overcoming common challenges in compliance with ISO 2038 standard. So before proceeding with the agenda, we can have a quick introduction about QI, then our today trainer, then we can start with the agenda, and then at time we have QI accreditation process, and then we have QA, your query and doubt session. So let me introduce myself. My name is Manish Kumar. I'm assistant manager with QI Quality and Accreditation Institute. This is India's second largest accreditation body. So our QI Quality and Accreditation Institute founder and CEO is Dr. Bhupender Kumar Rana. He's having 25 years of experience into quality, standard development, accreditation, and patient safety. So earlier he has been associated with the NEBH as a director and CEO in charge, Quality Council of India, where his visionary leadership transformed the healthcare quality framework in the country. He is the vice chair of Mutual Recognition Arrangement MRA, Council for Asia Pacific Accreditation Corporation APAC. He is founding member of International Academy of Quality and Safety IAQS, also member of Scientific Advisory Board International Alliance of Patient Organization IAPO, former board member and chairman of the Accreditation Council of International Society for Quality in Healthcare, ISQA, international expert of the World Health Organization, WHO, and the World Bank, Asian Development Bank, and the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So this is all about our founder and CEO, Dr. Upendra Kumar Rana. So QI started its operation in August 2017, and we are APEC and ALEC MRA signatory for medical testing and also testing and calibration as per the ISO 17025 standard. So as I mentioned earlier, we are the second largest accreditation body in India with the recognition of APEC and ILAC. So KI having some values, vision, and missions. We have vision to nurturing the largest global pool of conscience and people through quality improvement and accreditation framework. We have some values. We are good listeners. We always seek feedback from the stakeholders to address their concern. We are competitive. We look for viable options to benefit users of our services. And KI has adopted clear transparency because whatever the policies are made, they all are available in public domain on our website. We are innovative. We are innovative in terms like we have developed on more than 22 number of standards for the healthcare facility providers as per their requirement. KI having a mission to conceive, deliver education, training, accreditation, and related program in partnership with various stakeholders using an approach of co-design and co-creations. So KI having four verticals, Center for Education and Training, under which we do offer various kind of training as per the ISO standards and also for the healthcare facilities. Then CHSC Center for Accreditation of Health and Social Care, under which we do offer accreditation for the uh, healthcare provider like hospital, vision centers, and other healthcare facility. Then we have CIA, Center for International Accreditation, formerly known as the Center for Laboratory Accreditation, under which we offer accreditation as per the various ISO standard. Then we have Center for Accreditation of Veterinary Facility Provider, under which we offer accreditation for the veterinary facility providers. So let's thoroughly go about our CIA program. Our accreditation program for CIA, we do offer accreditation for the medical laboratories as per the ISO 15189 standard. We also offer a certification for medical laboratories as per the requirement of Central Clinical Establishment Act. We do offer accreditation for the testing and calibration laboratories as per the ISO IC 17025 standard. We become the first body in India, those who offer biobanking accreditation as per the ISO 20387 standard. We also do offer accreditation for the province testing provider as per the ISO IC 17043 standard. We also do offer accreditation for the inspection bodies as per the ISO IC 17020 standard. We do offer accreditation for the reference material producer as per the ISO 17034 standard. So we have international recognition for CIA program. We become full member MRA signatory of the Asia Pacific Cooperation APAC. We also full member MRA signatory of International Laboratory Accreditation ALEC. APAC and ILAC, these are the global body, those authorize any of the accreditation body in the world. So our CIA program is accepted by Bureau of Indian Standard. So BIS has listed out all the accreditation body in India on their website. We also accepted by Eastern Railway, Central Public Works Department, Directorate General of Quality Assurance, Power Finance Corporation, Coal India Limited, Legal Metrology Department of Consumer Affairs, National Highway Authority of India, Military Engineering Services, Power Grid Corporation of India, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, Rights Limited, Public Works Department, MP Government, BHEL Bhopal, Directorate Urban Administration and Development, MP Bhopal, and National Buildings Construction Corporation. Our CIA program is also accepted internationally by United States Environment Protection Agency, United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, World Organization of Animal Health. So these are the figures for accreditation for CIA program, which we have given accreditation the testing in medical laboratories. And this is the golden seal of mark of QI accreditation, which we give to any testing of medical laboratories, those who successfully complete QI accreditation process. So we are not only limited to India. We have a presence in globally. We have presence in Bahrain, Bangladesh, Ghana, Maldives, Mongolia, Morocco, Myanmar, Nepal, Qatar, Lebanon, Bhutan, and UAE. So these labs are already QI accredited. So let me brief about today's speaker. Today's session will take care by Dr. Usha Jain. She is a motivated senior scientist and manager with more than 27 years of experience in scientific leadership, experience in medical genetics, life science, biotechnology, medical device, healthcare, and biobanking. She possesses relevant experience in setting up process, bring technical expertise to improve clinical outcome, and implement new and emerging technology based scientific research development for the transformation of public health. She has also contributed to establishment and expansion of various laboratory facilities, like in AIIMS, Delhi, Sir Gangaram Hospital, Gujarat Cancer and Research Institute, Gujarat University, Auxiliaries Lab, and other laboratory from the scratch. In the past, she has been a technical and communication expert for an Indo-German project on medical device, jury to JSS DST startup schemes, has also been a part of accreditation team for as per the ISO standard like 20387 standard 13485 ISO 15189 standard as a technical expert at various institute and laboratories like in NLDB, New Delhi, CBR, IASC, Karkinos, Kerala. So thank you. This is all about QI and our today's speaker. So I welcome Dr. Usha Jain to take further. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Manish. Thank you, QAI. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Manish. Thank you, QAI. Thank you, Dr. Rana, for giving me this platform to speak and interact with various dignitaries. And good afternoon, everyone, seniors, respected sirs. I can see some senior people joining here. So, very good afternoon to all of you. And so, I'll share my screen. So, today's topic, as we all know, is ensuring quality and integrity in biobanking, overcoming common challenges in compliance with ISO 20387 standards. As we all know that ISO 20387 is basically the standard, international standard that has been created for biobanking, as we all know. But the need for this standard stems from the importance of the idea that the quality, consistency, and traceability of the biological material is very important in biobanking. So, especially when we are using the all biomaterial we are using for R&D purposes, this is very important and very crucial. Before ISO 20387, there have been number of standards or number of practices were going on throughout world. But this once this standard came, but all practices or the standards before this had some shortcomings. So keeping those in shortcomings in mind, this ISO 20387 was created, and a number of aspects which were really crucial and important from the perspective of R&D and from the preservation and the usage of the biological material and associated data, including the privacy, including the confidentiality of the human rights, regarding the human rights, all were taken in care. So today we'll be studying in this particular session all aspects of this particular standard in brief, understanding how it takes care of ethical consideration, legal consideration, infrastructure, and including the processes, and also how important it is to maintain the traceability, and also various other aspects, training and other aspects, which I'll be taking one by one. So many of you must be knowing about this standard or must have been the on a senior post who are well versed with the terms. But for those who are joining new, I would like to just briefly tell what ISO 20387 talks about or defines biobank and biobanking. Biobank, as per ISO, is a legal entity or part of legal entity that performs biobanking. And biobanking is a process of acquisition, storing, together with some or all of activities related to collection, preparation, preservation, testing, analyzing, and distributing defined biological material as well as related information and data. So everywhere it is in ISO standard, it is basically they use the word biological material as well as the related information and data, because with every biological material it is mandatory to take the important information, the related information regarding the biological material. So if we see this particular standard 20387, it basically was created basically with a wide range of biobanking functions in mind, including the human samples, animal samples, fungal samples, plant samples, and microorganism. All are categorized under a category of biological material. Now, what does this cover? If we understand this in a single line definition, that this ISO 20387 is basically an international standard for the standardization and consistency in biobanking, and setting the general requirement for biobank competence, impartiality, and consistent operation, covering the entire life cycle of the biological material and associated data. That is, this particular standard helps in maintaining the consistency and its standardization throughout globe, and taking in care of all the requirements regarding the competence, impartiality, and the operation. All essential, if we understand it takes care of all the aspects of the different clauses, takes care of all aspects of managing biobank, either it is structure, personal, facilities, processes, or equipments. And also another important or the robust system, that is the quality management system and sample handling, which includes all the SOPs regarding collection, preservation, transportation, distribution, and also the traceability. If we see the structure, what exactly the components of ISO 20387, especially the last version, that is 2018, the next one has still not there. So this one has different sections, and different sections of ISO standard has different clauses which justifies the various requirements. That is, the section 4 tells about the general requirement, the section 5 about the structural requirement, structure takes care of all aspects. In general, basically, if I'll say section 4, it takes care of all legal status related to biobank, all the management structure, that is governance and all, the including the policies and the various policies and procedures for the impartiality and confidentiality. If we look at the structural requirement, it takes care of all aspects, including the infrastructure, all kind of management, the environmental, biosafety of the personals, all the and the also the personals also, because in the future, in subsequent presentation, you will understand that how crucial and how important it is to take care of the biosafety of the personals, also the qualifications of the personnel, that is the appointment, that has to have some policies in the biobank that has to be decided by the governing body as per the requirement of the biobank. So the third one is the resource requirement. Resources, as we understand, it should include all the collection aspects, preservation, transportation, very crucial, because the quality of the sample received is very essential and very crucial. Also the distribution facilities, they are also the part of the structural requirement. Resources, if we understand, from the resources point of view, we can understand that all the equipments, any particular vendors, they are the part who are being outsourced also, they are the part of the resource requirements. And the processes requirements includes all the SOPs and all the uh, all kind of functioning or whatever is being done, that has to be documented and has to have some SOP as per the international guidelines. Quality management system and requirement, this is the most important and has to be very robust. The quality management system has to be uh, so robust that it not only takes care of the quality control and quality assessment from time to time, but it also should take care of the improvement in the terms of the quality management. The core requirement, as we are trying to understand, that how this particular standard ensures the quality and integrity. So for this particular purpose, we understand the most important requirements are competence, impartiality, and consistent operation. So if we understand what are those key aspects that should be included, is the sample integrity. The first one is the sample integrity which is being received. So sample integrity, why? Because once we receive the sample, the type of sample we receive at our end, that is further processed and that is further being stored or further being distributed for the R&D purpose and is being stored. If the quality of the sample is not being maintained throughout this process, throughout this chain, then they might degrade or they might, so this might, or they might, the quality may be a compromise. So in order for that, we need to have a very good system which should maintain the sample integrity to maintain the quality. Another important aspect is the traceability, for which we will be studying in detail the traceability and in its requirement. But here I would like to say traceability means, for those who are new, that we should be able to trace out at any step wherever the quality assessment is done or quality control or quality check has to be done. Every sample, every single sample of the biobank can be traced out from any particular point, right from the collection or acquisition till the destruction. So that means there has to be a particular system maintained by the biobank. Technical competence in the terms of the executive committee, in the terms of the governing body, in the terms of the to select out those technical people, and in the terms of the processes also to carry out all these aspects, or the resources are the latest resources being availed. So all these competence has to be maintained. So for this purpose, training, we'll be studying this part also in future in subsequent slides. The training is important, for the supervision is important for the personals from time to time. Assessment is possible that that they are doing the right work, those who are working on the the biobank. And also the quality management system, that is, I said that this has to be very robust. And in ISO, actually, there are two different options. And minimum requirements are aligned with the ISO 19001 principles, and option B as already compliant with the ISO 9001. So now I'll be going a little detail about the other focused area, which is the agenda of this today's presentation. So traceability and its requirement. If we talk about traceability in ISO 20387, it basically refers to tracking biological material from origin to distribution and beyond. Even if it is being distracted, so it has, the biobank must have a complete record that were distracted for what reason, and the data has to be the filled up, our data has to be completely has to be complete there and there only. So for this purpose, now for traceability, what is basically required? So first of all, we know that confidentiality is an important aspect of every human being. So in healthcare system, this is very essential. So right in the beginning, every single sample in the at the biobank, they are given a unique and permanent identification. So they are because assigning a unique identifier that is permanent and remains constant regardless of storage time or conditions. That means a single identifier is being decided right in the beginning for a particular, for every biological sample, and that is being followed throughout the operations, and it remains also constant throughout regardless of storage time or conditions. Even if it is being, any sample is being stored for 10 years, and if any of the users, they want to take back their sample for their own purpose, for any of their own reasons, they can come and claim it for and it should be, if it is a permanent or the same identifier, then it can be located right from the initial record, that what is happening or which particular part of the fridge or where it is being stored, and what has happened to the different liquids of it for the last 10 years. Complete chain of custody. Chain of custody means biobanking itself is a very confidential, privacy, a very private action oriented function. So it has to be complete, chain of custody. So as soon as the sampling is being received at your reception or collected, sometimes it is received as a sample or sometimes it is collected at the biobank. That differs from biobank to biobank, and different biobank, they have their different SOPs for the same. And the for preparation, preservation, storage condition, even if freeze and thaw for any reasons, aliquating and filing distribution and distraction, all track, so every action has to be applied to the sample. And even if for any reason, for example, we have collected a sample and we have processed it throughout, it would be, it would follow the same identifier, and it should be in a complete custody of the next cycle, how it is going. In case it is being rejected at the reception for some reason, it is, for example, if we are collecting a blood sample, but it is, somehow it is hemolyzed. So it will not be moved or it will not be processed further. So these things, preparation, preservation, storage, these will not be valid for such a sample. So the action will be stopped there and there only, and it would be documented for at the biobank for that for what reason it is not being processed, and it is intimated from the point where it is being collected to the user, for the either requested for the resampling, or it is being conveyed to the user or to the doctor concerned that this has been, the sample has been not processed because of any hemolyzed one. So association with data and consent, this is something very crucial we all of us must know, because along with the sample, there is a personal data of every individual, and for which ICMR guidelines are very strict in India. In every country, it is you. We know that in USA, HIPAA and other countries, GD protection, GDPR and other regulations are there. But as per our guidelines, ICMR guidelines, the consent regarding if you are collecting any kind of information, even if you are collecting height, weight along with the sample and all other information, personal information of a person, it has to have a consent form. So regarding the consent, I would like to take a little more because rest of the things are little processes sort of, but this is something very mandatory to, before starting any kind of work. So this, if we understand from the point of view of the consent, there has to be, the consent means there has to be a form, consent form. So one is the test requisition form along with the sample. The second one is the consent form along with that. So consent form is always in a language which could be understood by the donor, or by the donor, because or doctor has to make them understand whatever is written in the consent, that is for which purpose the sample is being collected, either an R&D purpose, for project purpose, for long duration, for biobanking, or for other purpose. So it has to be made clear to them. So along with this, so now how it is connected to traceability? Once we are giving we are taking or receiving a sample, along with the sample there are test requisition form for which purpose it is being collected and under what circumstances it is being transported and what time it is being received. But the time it is being received, it has to be checked for the consent form, and that generally has most of the information like the donor demographics area, which locality they belong to, if we are working on particular group of individuals in particular area, and also if the particular clinical history, test results, or any kind of crucial consent information, permission or restriction, whether they would like to use it, they would like to make it to use it for a future purpose, or they are restricted. So based on them, it is generally the broad consent, or it may be the consent which is dynamic one. So it depends. Now preferably use the numerical code or barcodes. So in that particular case, since in the biobank we receive the variety of the biological samples, also they are affiliated to different projects, different reasons. So they are coming for different purposes or for storage purposes, for any whatever xyz reason. So everyone is given some kind of, in most of the this is in these samples, once they give the identifiable number, a barcode or a numerical code is being created just to avoid any manual entry errors. So, and generally LIMS, laboratory information management system, is a very common way to efficiently manage and ensure this traceability that we all must be aware of. Now next comes we understand how traceability requirement in ISO makes it mandatory. Similarly, documentation. As we know, ISO means documentation, documentation, and documentation. Whatever we are doing is to be documented, and whatever is documented has to be followed in our actions. So that is what our ISO mandatory points are. So documented information basically cover all necessary procedures, whatever, every small procedure being used in the biobank for any XYZ reason. Even if TRF being prepared, the details of the TRF forms, all has to be documented. The consent form, which language, which particular reason, what all reasons, they has to be documented. There are all kinds of records, whether it is instruments records or any calibration records, we are calibrating the instruments after every time, or any malfunctioning of the instrument, anything goes off, or any we discard any kind of particular we make it out of use, any kind of equipment, all this has to be recorded, and even the data has to be documented. The essential for demonstrating, why it is essential? This is very essential for demonstrating the competence and compliance during the accreditation assessments. And most of you or some of you must be applying to after or may apply to KOI after this webinar, may undergo other trainings also for ISO, specifically clause wise, to understand. You will understand that every little clause that asks for a documented information, and therefore there has to be the various registers or there is kinds of entries. It may be digital or it may be manual for some reasons. So for accreditation, and at the time of accreditation assessments, the team asks for this particular information, where it is documented, where it is there, which register, get all this. So they are being asked for. So by adhering to these requirements, Biobank promote confidence. So this basically competence compliance, this helps. And accreditation by third body, this helps basically to gain a confidence in their operation, and also ensure that provided the whatever material we are providing, biological material or the data, is reliable and also fit for or any purpose, especially the R&D purposes, because most of the R&Ds labs or the organization, they ask for these biobanks for the various quality samples. And required documentation basically requires what? So all documents, especially this I am basically covering the, I should say, the more specific ones. There are some other also documents which I have not covered, but most important one that has to be documented, number one, is the policies and the procedures. Policies, right, is the governing body. They are making a policies, taking care of the national and international regulations, and also the local area or local limitations. They make policies for the biobank, and steering committee moves it, executive committee understands how to go for it, and this is how the SOPs also, the various procedures for quality activities, risk management, which is very essential. Everything, all processes, quality controls, quality assessments, risk management, all these procedures are actually being preset, and they are being followed, and changes are also made accordingly as and when required during the extension of the biobank. Personal records, definitely. Staff, most important part, their responsibilities. All staff means doesn't mean that everyone can work in every corner of the biobank. No, it is very restricted. It is in a hierarchical position. Who controls what? Who controls what action at the biobank? Who has got the authority to block, or who has got the responsibility to log further actions? All authorities and responsibilities are segregated in a biobank. And for this purpose, training of the personals, though may be highly qualified, but still training from time to time, and competency to ensure only qualified personals handle the material. The equipment management, I said, time to time calibration. This is a demand of ISO actually. The maintenance of all equipment, maintenance means AMC being done, the records are being maintained, they are being documented, all fridges, and they are even every day's temperature. If what is the morning evening temperature variation, everything has to be documented. All instruments to ensure their proper functioning. Collection information, I said collection is the most crucial one, because at the time of collection, we are taking all information which is being processed further. In case anything is left back, then one has to get back to the user again. They may or may not be available. Doctors may or may not be available. So in that purpose, all the collection information, all related information must be documented, including the condition that could affect the material's fitness for purpose. Very essential, because sometimes in the camps which are in the remote areas, it takes around 1 or 2 days or 24 hours or 48 hours to transport or so a sample. So that particular, it has to be documented that transportation, which particular transport agency, what are the monitoring, assessors or monitoring assessments being done in between on the way, what time they are receiving, till what time they can receive. After that time, if it reaches, they can say no to it, and then it can be rejected also on that particular base, but it has to be documented in the procedure. The evidence of results again very important, because before giving, after processing the entire sample, what results we are getting, we make a quality check at the beginning, we do the proficiency testing, we participate, the biobanks, they participate in equas, and sometimes they do interlab also. So all this they do to improve their quality, accuracy, completeness, and consistency. Audit and review records, this is something you, especially those who are in the biobanking field right now, they must be knowing how important it is to have the internal audits and review meetings. Why? Because here the biobanking is a very, I should say, investing, because it is a lots of investment, and sustainability is a further investment. So if we are not maintaining a quality of the samples, it may affect not right now but after 5 years, then the entire structure may collapse. So in for that purpose, there has to have a very robust, the quality management system, which should have a complete continuous improvement, and this particular process has to be audited by the internal audits, sometimes the accreditation body, they come for the external audits, review meetings from time to time, that we say, depending upon what is the scope of biobank, basically what all they are covering. So depending on that, how degradation or how, what chances of degradation for particular samples is there. So depending upon the scope, the assessment committee also decides that this much time duration, the frequency of the audits must be done, and those audits or review meetings, they has to be documented, that what was there in the last meeting, what was being decided, how it was being communicated to the further staff for the executive committee. So major, if we consider we take into account the ethical considerations, the ISO adheres to the regional, national, and international ethical practices. So I just now said they have to be made clear about the informed consent. Basically, we take the purpose of their participation, potential risk, and data usage. The specific, if they are doing for a particular project, or broad consent, if they are doing for right now for a project but can be used further, or could be consent, and there are also consent withdrawal, and what are the conditions for consent withdrawal is needs to be taken care. Also the vulnerable population, the special consideration, especially mentally retarded adults, the adults of special care, children, minor, in that particular case these are the vulnerable populations mentioned. So in that particular case one has to mention in the consent form. This is another important duty of the ethical aspects, that is to maintain the privacy and confidentiality. So for this purpose, the sample, biobank must implement some strong security measures. This is anonymization, pseudonymization, and encryption. Encryption, as we know, that the encoding, and which can be decoded also, it is reversible. Anonymization means that it can never be, it is irreversible process, and pseudonym is again reversible. So policies, there has to have a policies which should govern the data and under what conditions. Governance, I have already talked of, that there has to be a governing body, we should have a scientific committee, we should have a steering committee, it should also have the executive committee, all have different responsibilities, and the authorities. And impartiality is very important to maintain especially to stakeholders' interest, and to avoid any kind of conflicts. The ethic review committee is there always in every organization, which maintains this or which play a role in overseeing the operations. So any kind of harm, especially the donors to the personals, they should not expose to unintentionally, they do not expose to personals, the donors or the public, to pathogens or toxins. Regarding the biosafety has to be ethical as well as the legal consideration. Legal consideration, legal entity, I said that there are lots of legal aspects from the locals, from the state government, from the national regulations. So all has to be compliant, which are mentioned in the ISO data protection law in different countries like EU, we have GDPR. In other countries, in India, we follow the ICMR guidelines, and that is very important to be followed. Biosecurity, biosafety, I said, since we are working with the pathogens, we are working with the various toxins. So any kind of loss, theft, misuse, or or the intentional release, that anything adhering to national or international biosafety and bio security guidelines going against for it, so one has to follow the regulations for the same. Material transfer is another important legal aspect, and any kind of material, either national or international level, we are distributing these samples or data of any kind. If it is going outside biobank, then there has to have the legal, there has to be some MTA which is being framed by the legal person in a biobank, by a lawyer. These agreements define the terms of use, ownership, and confidentiality. Traceability, I have already talked of. Documentation, I have talked of. All these are end-to-end traceability as well as the documentation, right from collection to the disposal or destruction. National regulations at every aspect has to, biobank must adhere to. Data management, of course, again traceability, because without traceability, this data has to be right from the beginning, and traceability is another important aspect. Documentation and records, I have said, they needs to be all well documented. Records must be controlled, updated in case if any updation regarding the instruments related, or any kind of updation, or related to the, like the if any of the samples have been already given to some user, so then at that time whatever samples left, that has to be updated, and it should be readily available for review. Now, data management, another important aspect is possible only data quality control. This is your IT aspects, that they should have a consistency, accuracy. These procedures have to be maintained. So BIMS is basically biobank information, this system, management system, basically makes a good control over the data quality, or the data control. And interoperability is very important, because when there is a data transfer or communication among different systems within biobank or outside, so that is, for that purpose, it is very important to have the cooperation and harmonization to practice among the biobanks and researchers. So it has to be within and outside the biobank. So that kind of data management system has to be maintained. Data life cycle management, again, that is for all life cycle of the biological sample, and also the data related. Biosecurity, data security is another important aspect, that is must maintain the confidentiality I have talked of. Impartiality, all policies have to be framed in that particular manner. Access control, as you can see, that only access those people who have the authorities and responsibilities, they can access that particular area. If they are not, for example, in the nitrogen cylinder area where their samples are being stored, only a specific person, not all biobanker who are working at different tables, they can go or have an access, or to the freezers they have access, then the only authorized people, and those who are authorized for this purpose, they can access that particular area. Data security, similarly for the access of the data related to any information. Data management, uh, so anonymization, pseudonymization, I have talked of. Masking few aspects or sensitive data essential to protect the participants' privacy, and also the physical and the data security. So training requirements I have talked about, that in the case in this particular, the job descriptions all have to be very clear, that what particular job the at the time of the this is the actually the training requirements, they are very well defined in the ISO, that in this especially 6.2 section, that all documented competence that all the people job description must have detail, like what particular education, what particular training, demonstrated skill, or the experience required for particular role. Initial and ongoing training in case personnel being hired, but some new developments are coming up in at the biobank for which the same persons need to be, have training. At initial aspects also, in the beginning they are being trained, they are being supervised also, because supervision is very essential. If the person is, maybe competent but may not be very confident in handling, so in that particular case, the supervision of the seniors has to be to maintain a quality check. In case required any retraining, then can be retrained. Performance assessment, regular documented assessments of the competence required. In case more developments going on, higher staffs needed, or the staff any other hierarchy or position needed, it must be maintained, and their performance assessment of the hired staff has to be documented well, like for after 3 months they are checked, or after 6 months they are being checked for their performance. And specialized handling in case needed. Consistency in operations, ensuring consistency, how we ensure. So it really impacts the quality and the traceability of sample. So consistency is very fundamental to ISO 20387, and it can be obtained only once we have in all SOPs. I have said it has to be at every chain of actions or operating processes. Every single action has to be documented. It has to have an SOP, which is a part of documented information. Specialized quality management system, as I have said, a robust quality management system, data traceability and data management, and quality control. Technical integration. If we talk about the technical integration, it has a mix of all the legal, ethical, some taking into account of all those aspects, so as to make it a more I should say a very sound technical integration within the biobank. Technical integration basically is the information. Generally, I said in the every biobank generally have a the biobank information management system, means BIMS. So as soon as once you receive the sample, right from there the entry starts, and this is further being at every step where it is being processed, the same chain is being, or same folder is being opened, and same further information can be updated in that, or some other software which any of the biobank I have seen. Many biobank, they have developed from their own ITs their own softwares as per their requirement to manage data, ensure traceability, maintain QC, and facilitate the interoperability. Standard requires robust digital solutions to support entire life cycle. So because the time the anything goes wrong with any sample at any step, it is to be documented immediately. So only digitization solutions can help us. So BIMS, I have said, this is very crucial element to manage vast amount of data generated during the biobanking operations, that helps in cataloging the samples, tracking their location, managing all, because by this we can just play out. If we have to take a particular project, then we can take out all samples on a particular clinical trial. For any clinical particular trial, then we can easily trace out. So this is very essential, fundamental to all biobanks. Data management and security, I have talked about. Role-based access control, very important. Regular data backups. Data encryption helps in ensure data integrity and compliance with the regulation. Traceability and chain of custody. This chain of custody at every step to locate the history, for that ensure that history, location, condition of biological material, which is being documented at all times. Interoperability with third party, or it be to facilitate the seamless data transfer, and also the equipment monitoring also, because if you are maintaining such a big equipments list, so there has to be AMC. So when is the renewal for the AMC due, and when is the calibration time is due. So all this has to be, if there are four different machines, they have to be numbered, which one has a due time. All this is basically the technical integration, and procedures for maintenance, calibration and monitoring are required. So only technical solutions like automated monitoring system, they help ensure that equipment operates within the validated parameters, so safeguarding the sample quality. So all we are working towards is sample, to maintain the sample quality. Documentation and SOP I have talked of, that throughout documentation important for all documents and records what we are making, the SOPs, what we have managing the SOPs, and also the tracking. Validation of the digital systems often needs the validation to ensure that they are fit for particular purpose we need. So at last, we but would like to say that there are the right now, from the research papers we have understood that this ISO 20387, though there are lots of changes required in the standard, which would be coming in the next coming up, because every year lots of international biobanking conferences going on, where they are taking up the challenges related to it, biobanking at different levels, taking in care of the different diseases area, taking in care of the clinical trials, taking care of all these future perspective, that it needs to be changed. But right now we can say that it improves the access to qualified samples and data, ensures and increases the quality of the sample by implementing the quality management system, and a good quality control and quality assessment as well. Unify the policies and procedures for biobank, that is very essential, because everyone follows the exact policies and exact procedures. XYZ person, whether the person, it is a system oriented and not the person oriented. Support exchange of the biological material and data among the biobanks and researchers. It has really helped to stimulate the access of partners, public and private sector. So definitely because of that, it is increasing the stakeholders' confidence. So they are coming forward to invest also and to use to. So this helps to generate revenue, be applicable for biobanks of different sizes. So all kind of, if you define the scope, as per the scope, all clauses fits in most of, more or less. Foster R&D, it has really worked very good for from the R&D point of view. When we were doing, we used to collect our data for 3 years, samples, and at AIMS we used to collect, we used to go to the OPDs, where there we used to get the type of the samples of our own, of our interest there, and it used to take around 2 to 3 years just to collect sample and the data. And after 3 years or 2 years and 2.5, we used to start our analysis, which is not now, right now needed, and it has really reduced the cost. Definitely the entire cost of collection, processing and everything is being taken care by the biobank. So what you receive at your end is a process quality based good sample at your table, and you can just start with your R&D. So this has really, this reduces. And also the ISO, all the clauses, they have they ask for you or make it mandatory, the all SOPs, so that you can reduce the cost. And by accreditation you can really reduce the cost, because the quality improves a lot, and also the research waste by improving the biobanking operations. So this is about the today's session. There is a lot to discuss about, there is a lot to share about, but it's such a big ISO 20387, different aspects, especially the important ones. Highlighting, I have highlighted the those points. So anyone has queries, or Manish would like to further um, or anyone has something important experience to share, kindly share. Anyone has any comment or any contribution to this understanding or any queries? Anyone?
Hello, Dr. Usha. Am I audible?
Yeah, Juhi.
Hi.
Hi.
So thank you for such a insightful talk. Uh, I was looking forward to the challenging part of when you implement ISO 20387, the challenges that you face. However, even this information was useful because a lot of people are still not aware of what an ISO 20387 is like.
Yes.
So my question relates to the basic definition of what qualifies as origin to distribution and beyond. So this term beyond, how far can you expect a biobank to police these specimens? Once we have shared it to the researcher, I think through our agreements, we have made it pretty understandable to them that they have to be very judicious with the samples. There has to be no, improper usage. But despite that, people store samples. They do it for multiple studies. Sometimes third-party sharing also happens. Sometimes they source these samples outside for doing high-level next-generation sequencing. So at what point of time do you think our role stops? If you are telling me that if our documentation is up to the mark and we can be at peace, does that qualify as beyond? Or you think we have to keep nudging the researcher to keep us giving us feedbacks of what and how they're handling our specimens? So what period qualifies as beyond?
So here, very good question, Juhi. Here, there are two different aspects. One is this that when you are, that's why at the time of 20387, we say that all your material transfer agreements has to be through a lawyer. It should very, very clearly clarify all the points, and in written you have to take the request that is also documented for which purpose they are using, because beyond that, if they are malpracticing for any reason, we cannot have control. But till the time they are within the range of agreements, you are safe. Any biobank is safe within the agreement condition. Because if they are malpracticing in any aspect, in any area, cannot be controlled. But you
So
can
you
take it
mean
in
tight
written.
agreements can actually save
Yeah.
us?
Yes. So that's why we say these MTA agreements, specifically we say we will not, either will raise the NA, will raise the query to it, or we'll say no, this objection to it, that will not allow this particular class to go unless we go through this agreement, that it has been written, it has been basically prepared by a lawyer, seeking the conditions that what is the scope of a biobank, that because scope has to be defined also, no? In your case, once you define your scope, we go till that end, that once you define like distribution you have to define that you will take a requisition from them, that for what particular purpose, for example from an organization you want a requisition, then it requisition has to have a complete information, how many samples, how many aliquots that has been given required for which particular purpose, and it has to be given within what duration. So, and also you have to ask for you have to give your report of quality check for those particular samples, and you have to take the documented or through email or any other document what they have received at their end. And once they have their purpose is being served, they have to inform the biobank that for what purpose they have taken, they have that purpose has been fulfilled, and what has happened to the rest of it, it has to be clear into your MTA agreement.
That
If
answers
it
my
is not,
question. Yes. Thank you
if
so
it is
much.
if it doesn't, if it is they do not disclose it, then this is another thing. But your MTA has to be very solid and very clear from legal aspects, So that has to be, and all documentation. That's why we say every email, every documentation, every point has to be in a requisition form. Even if within an organization, for example, I say within a names there is a biobank. If the different projects people in different departments, they are sending, different professors are sending their projects samples to a store. You are storing it, and they ask for it. Even if it is going outside or your biobank, it has to have a complete record that how many aliquots you are handling over, and how much and what quality it has. They may ask for the complete. If you are not completely handling, then you have to maintain a record of it and also intimate it to them that 10 aliquots are still lying with you. Out of 20, 10 have been handed over and 10 are still on this particular date. This has to be documented. This is one aspect. Another aspect of it, which is very essential, in case if your donor comes and he asks for it, so beyond is that also. Donor has given a sample but may require after 3 years, after 10 years. So they may require it, and they may ask the biobank that I have 10 years before I have given my mother's sample or stored my mother's sample for this particular reason. But now, right now I require a few aliquots or some sample of it. So at that particular time, the responsibility again, that is again on material transfer. It is to a donor. So that again is a responsibility of the biobank. Anything goes out beyond this has to be all within the legal framework with all precise information.
I had another question. This was on record retention. This is also one of the pointers in ISO 20387. Like for tissues and biosamples, you have a end of life. You know your tissue's viability is still 15 years or 10 years. So it's like a mortal. It has an end date. However, data, biomedical data, which is associated with the sample, it is an immortal data. And you can use it as long as an organization exists. So if
Yes.
Rajiv Gandhi stays for the next 30 years, I think this data is valid till the next 30 years. How do you define a life of a data? So in your record retention period, what end date should I give? Should I say 20 years? Should I say 30 years? Or should I say infinite?
It is for different samples. ICMR guidelines have for DNA, for RNA,
No,
because
I'm
RNA
talking about data, not sample.
for data, see, data as such, you know that it is very private and confidential. In that particular case, it is being stored, and backups are also kept. So right now there are no particular the guidelines related to data that has come regarding the sample. Mortality is very clear in ICMR guidelines, still not very clear about till what years it can stay up to. But since we consider that biobanking is a new concept altogether, and there are lots of BBIF, for example, and one of the NGOs which is working hard every year. Jui you have been presenting also, Jui.
Yes.
There, I think, I've seen your presentation, the good ones. There, I've seen. So there also we say that there are lots of challenges which are not, because the guidelines are not very clear about data and all. So data, this electronic medical record that has come up right now in few years only, which has come up for all hospitals, that how it has to be, it is mandatory to, make a digital record of it. Otherwise, before that, so how it was going. So still the guidelines are not very clear till what time. Years wise, it is not related to data, but generally, it is the good IT system which can maintain for a long, and that data of a biological sample is as crucial as the sample itself. Sample may decay, but the data has lots of information, because especially in your case, Devi, in cancer samples, like for example, what followed up being done for 5 years.
Yeah, so
for,
5-year follow-up is there. Apart from that, you know what the issue is? This data which I hold now today will become more priceless at the end of 10 years.
Yes.
Okay, because you will be showing a lifespan of 10 years for the patient. Another important thing is these days, all this AI is so much in picture that all this data is now going to train AI algorithms.
Yes.
So AI is the future, right? So this data which I'm storing now, they will be using this data for probably, I don't know how many years to come. So as far as I remember, while I had gone to Thisti for one of the audits, this thing actually struck me because your records need to mention the lifespan of how long are you going to store your sample and associated data. This question was bothering me since then as to should we give it a lifespan like we give to samples? Like we know samples in minus 196 have a viability of 15 years.
15 years.
Right. And samples at minus 80 have a lifespan of 10 to 12 years. So there is an end limit to that. But in data, it's infinite, it's immortal.
Yeah.
So how do you face an auditor when they ask you, what is your record retention period?
Here,
That is my
I should,
problem.
that is, if you see the ICMR guidelines, regarding the AI and ML, still guidelines are not very clear.
Right, right. I was
So,
hoping this ISO 20387 is coming up with new modification.
yes, yes.
They are working
Definitely,
on the
there
new
has to
one.
have
I
some
think
kind
they
of
will address
restriction.
this issue
They will
also.
address this issue. I totally agree with you because the labs, AI and ML, what data they are generating, what kind of interpretation they are giving, they also have a question mark related to healthcare.
Yes. That's all from my side. Thank you, Dr. Usha.
Thank you. Thank you, Joey. Nice talking to you. Anyone else, sir? Anyone?
Yeah, there are been a couple of questions posted on the chat.
Okay.
So this is regarding the NOC procedure for the transfer of human biological samples.
Quality assurance plans for the implementation. What are the major areas should be covered? Quality assurance as such, I should not say, it should be quality control and assurance basically. Because at every aspect, it is basically a quality check and quality control and quality assurance basically because assurance of what we are implementing right now. But in case of we want to make improvements at every aspect, whether it is a risk management, whether it is a processing, for example, like how the samples being processed earlier, now it is a quicker techniques which are coming up. So at every step, that assurance plan for implementation, I should say that it takes care of all aspects, including uh, the all processing SOPs at all aspects, even the assurance in the terms of the proficiency testing, interlab, the interlab participation, ECAS. Yeah, all these things are actually part of NOC, this ISO. And we have to update our provision on ICMR NOC procedure for. No, we do not have NOC procedures on ICMR. We have only that what is required at for that particular human biological samples for the transfer, but nothing from NOC point of view is not very clear. Still not clear on ICMR guidelines. ICMR guidelines are still not very clear about many aspects. Maybe in future it may come up.
Okay, ma'am, thank you. Any other
Thank you.
person having query and doubts? Otherwise, we can start with the QA accreditation process.
Manish, excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
I've got another meeting actually at 4:30. If no
So
one
can
has
we have group
queries,
photo? Yeah, can we have group
so
photograph with ma'am? I
yeah.
request everyone to please switch on your camera.
Sorry
If
for
you are
that.
okay to open your screen, open your camera, please switch on your camera. We can have one group photograph. Thank you. So everyone is ready. Please smile. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your wonderful session.
And thank you all for your patience and giving me this opportunity. I thank Dr. Rana, QAI, and Manish for organizing this webinar. And thank you all.
Thank
So
you.
I would
So
like to
now,
quit because I've got a meeting actually.
yeah, it's okay, ma'am. So now I request Ms. Geeta to take further. Ms. Geeta is our accreditation officer. She is looking after CIA vertical and accreditation of biobanking. So welcome, Geeta. Please share your screen.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Yes, Geeta, you may go ahead.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. So, I'll begin with the accreditation process. Okay. So, eligibility for the accreditation process. What a biobank should have. So, the applicant biobank must comply with all clauses of ISO 20387 2018. The applicant biobank must have participated satisfactorily in the proficiency testing program, that is PT, wherever applicable, conducted by QAI CPT, APEC, or any other national or international accredited recognized PT provider. In case if there is no PT program is available, the biobank can initiate an inter-laboratory comparison, that is ILC, with adequate number of accredited biobank or engage into other type of internal quality control checks, that is IQC. The applicant biobank must have conducted at least one internal audit and a management review before the submission of application. So one internal audit and one MRM is mandatory. Then steps to achieve QI accreditation. Applicant biobank is requested to submit the following along with the application form. Soft copy of completed application form that is available on our website. Along with this, a soft copy of self-assessment toolkit along with reference document. Now, self-assessment cum management system documentation review toolkit is based on the requirements of the accreditation standard, that is ISO 20387. It gives an opportunity to the biobank to examine all its documentation and their implementation. It will also give a comprehensive view of its documentation to the lead assessor. So this is our internal document. Now, a soft copy of quality manual or anything which you are using as management system documentation is required along with the application form. Then prescribed application fee need to be submitted. Then a soft copy of signed QA CIA 002, that is terms and condition for obtaining and maintaining accreditation. All the above information shall be sent to the given email ID, that is info@qi.org.in. So all communication will be sent through the mail. Now, this is our scope of accreditation. You can see here, like the source of biological material, human, animal, plant, microorganism, type of biological material, example, blood, tissues, fluids. And these are our activities, internal, external methods, storage conditions. For this, we are providing scope of accreditation for the biobanks. Now, this is our flowchart for the accreditation process. So first, application plus self-assessment cum management system documentation review toolkit as per the standard. Okay, this need to be submitted by the biobank. Then review, registration and acknowledgement of application. This to be done by the QI Secretariat. Third step is document review and quality management system adequacy with respect to the self-assessment management system documentation review toolkit that was submitted by the biobank. So this process includes the use of self-assessment toolkit. This will be done by the lead assessor. Then pre-assessment. Pre-assessment is optional. If biobank opts for it, so we can go for the pre-assessment. It is completely optional. This is done by the lead assessor or the assessment team. Then final assessment by the assessment team. After that, review of assessment report that would be done by the QI/CI Secretariat. Then feedback to laboratory and necessary corrective action taken by the biobank. Then recommendation for accreditation. This is done by a panel of reviewers. We have a panel of reviewers. After that, the approval from the accreditation from our CEO. Then issue of accreditation certificate by QI/CI Secretariat. Then again, you have to submit the application for renewal. And the time period for this is 4 months before expiry of your current accreditation. Now, the fee structure based on the World Bank income level classification of countries. For detailed fee structure, you can mail us to info@qi.org.in. So if you have any queries regarding the accreditation process, you can ask me or you can please write us to info@qi.org.in. And for any information, you can go through the www.qi.org.in. That is our official website. Thank you.